日本首相高市早苗7号在国会表态。
On the 7th, Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takamori stated that she would not rule out exercising the right to collective self-defense should China attempt to invade Taiwan with force. This statement was met with an angry retort from Xue Jian, the Chinese consul general in Osaka, on the X platform. Xue Jian's post, which implied Takaichi should be decapitated, rapidly circulated on X. Although Xue Jian later deleted the post, he followed up with a warning that the Taiwan issue was irrelevant to Japan. The Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, MFA, advised Chinese citizens to avoid traveling to Japan in the near future, stating that Takaichi's erroneous remarks on Taiwan had gravely hurt the feelings of the Chinese people and severely worsened the atmosphere for Sino-Japanese personnel exchanges. The MFA urged Japan to uphold the spirit of the 4 political documents between the two countries, immediately correct its wrong words and deeds, and prevent further damage to Sino-Japanese relations. Reporters learned yesterday from Honglu Zongheng that over 40% of scheduled flights from mainland China to Japan in December have been cancelled, totaling more than 1,900 flights. Following November 15th, the number of travelers heading to Japan dropped significantly. Chinese people are also mocking Chinese tourists visiting Japan on social media, calling them unpatriotic. The following is a social media post's sarcastic remarks about these tourists. News broke that the group of travelers still stubbornly remaining in Japan risks becoming a global laughingstock. In this sensitive period, they are seen as oblivious, focused only on travel and fun, discarding national duty and historical grievances. With Sino-Japanese relations strained, a group of Chinese tourists are reportedly sticking around in Japan, having a great time. This is viewed as playing into the hands of others. Despite the MFA issuing safety warnings and airlines offering free refund and exchange channels, covering up to 90% of tickets, these individuals insist on sticking to their pre-booked itineraries, continuing to post photos of food and fun in Tokyo and Osaka. This is not a minor issue of travel freedom. It's an ill-conceived farce given the current international climate. Japan has recently been escalating pressure, with right-wing politicians frequently making unfriendly remarks, and an increase in crimes targeting Chinese The official warnings have been clear. While Chinese tourists to Japan were expected to exceed 1 million in 2025, the number of recent stay-behinds is estimated to be in the thousands, mostly in hotspots like Tokyo and Osaka. Many post Japanese-style photos on social media, commenting that Japan is friendly and the money is spent, I don't want a refund, completely disregarding the current political backdrop and national advisories. Their behavior is deemed a litmus test of national responsibility. The MFA explicitly pointed out that the shift in Japanese social sentiment might make the environment less friendly for Chinese tourists. Yet, some only see discounted hotels, cheap cosmetics, and delicious ramen, ignoring the taut political string in the background. This stay-behind wave starkly contradicts the official warnings. Some even mockingly label themselves upwind travelers, as if challenging some boundary. The concern is that the Japanese side might exploit them for propaganda, reinforcing a tourist-friendly image to downplay bilateral tensions, effectively turning these tourists into unwitting props for whitewashing. This reflects a lack of historical consciousness. The article cites the contrast with celebrity Ekin Cheng, who canceled his Tokyo concert out of respect for Sino-Japanese relations and earned public praise. These ordinary tourists, during a sensitive national moment, prioritize immediate gratification. This instant gratification mindset, influenced by social media, allows national stance and sentiment to be superseded by the desire for a good photo. This is not freedom, but an evasion of responsibility. Furthermore, a 2024 UN tourism report is cited, stating that tourists who insist on staying in politically sensitive periods have a 20% higher chance of encountering safety incidents. This behavior, viewed globally, suggests a lack of national security awareness and could be misinterpreted as Chinese public dissent towards its own government, risking both personal harm and damage to the national image. The article urges reflection on the appropriate posture for Chinese citizens traveling abroad in a globalized world. The Chinese embassy in Japan recently reported multiple instances of resource-wasting rescue missions for tourists who ignored warnings and got stranded in high-risk areas. The conclusion is a strong call for self-respect. You can enjoy Japan's culture and cuisine, but you must know when to temporarily stand aside. Restraint in sensitive times is not a lack of freedom, but respect for national interests. Tourism can resume, but dignity cannot be regained. Remember this: where you stand, you represent China.
China encourages Chinese citizens to travel to Russia and Cambodia, but Russia is a country at war, and Cambodia has a bad reputation for kidnapping Chinese citizens and trafficking human organs. The Chinese government's actions are truly baffling.
Why Chinese should go to Cambodia? Cambodia is a terrible country, full of warlords, mafia groups, and human trafficking. There have been constant reports of Chinese people being kidnapped, used as hostages, and sold in Cambodia. Even worse, some have had their organs harvested while still alive, with kidneys and livers sold on the international black market. Who would want to go to such a lawless, dirty, poor country full of organized crime, right? And yet they are encouraging Chinese people to go to Cambodia with visa-free entry. Are they trying to send Chinese tourists to the KK district to be treated like pigs? So I find this very strange, extremely strange.
Going to Russia? Russia is currently at war. Can't ensure its security, Ukrainian drones frequently strike targets within its borders, including those targeting Moscow. Given this conflict, how could the Chinese government encourage its citizens to travel to a country at war? What if drones strike? What if the war escalates? Wouldn't there be casualties? Therefore, I think it's a completely irresponsible attitude. I think the Chinese government is using Chinese tourists as a weapon, weaponizing cross-border tourism as a means of punishing Japan because it's dissatisfied with the Japanese Prime Minister's words. But Chinese tourists are innocent. They shouldn't be used as political tools. As long as it benefits the Chinese government, Chinese tourists should risk their lives to travel to countries at war or full of organized crime. What's the point of tourism if one can't even guarantee their personal safety? But the Chinese government doesn't care about these things. It uses international tourism as a weapon to punish countries that oppose it and to reward those that stand with CCP. It uses the lives of ordinary Chinese people as a price, completely disregarding their safety. It sends them wherever it wants to travel, giving away huge tourism revenues to countries it wants to ally with. So this is a morally bankrupt government, a rogue government. Then suddenly, it stopped nearly 2,000 flights, effectively depriving Chinese tourists still in Japan of their chance to return home, increasing the cost of their return. This is a very petty act, and the future is uncertain. Many bad things may happen in the future. The Chinese Communist Party, CCP, has repeatedly used cheap sentiment like patriotism to exploit conflicts, especially with Japan. Whenever there's a conflict, they resort to patriotic rhetoric and anti-Japanese sentiment in the media, calling on their citizens to boycott Japanese goods, cars, and tourism. This tactic has worked consistently for decades. However, the public is starting to tire of this tactic. Many tourists who have visited Japan say that the disputes between nations have nothing to do with them, which is why they're willing to spend money there. They find Japanese society very tolerant, the people friendly, and the cities very clean, a comfortable environment they can't find in China. This is why they're willing to go to Japan and experience a sense of familiarity and strangeness. It is familiar because many things in Japan have elements of ancient China. It is strange because it's a different country. This is purely a market-driven activity, yet the CCP is trying to use moral blackmail to manipulate the entire nation to achieve its political goals, increasing public and economic pressure on the Japanese government to force compromise. But this behavior is inherently inappropriate and crude, and I believe it's doomed to fail.